Griff, do you want to start? How are you? Intentions and
I'm
distractions.
fantastic. Are we starting with intentions, distractions? Yeah, my intention is to just catch up on how we're doing. I feel like this team has been a great success, so I'm hoping, I don't know, and be curious to check in on our proposal strategy, and yeah, who knows, maybe even end early. As far as distractions, I have some leftover sushi that I'm going to eat during this. I'll pass it to Juan Carlos.
Thanks, Griff. Well, my distraction is also that I am going to order lunch in this call. And my intention is, yes, to sync and to see how can I help. And I will pass to Tam.
So my intentions are to give a few updates, ask some questions, and get the intelligence of the group to help come up with some solutions or just give some feedback. Yeah, share how we're doing this week. And I'll pass to Septimus.
Thanks, Tam. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be discussed in this call, but it was some engagement on the forum with the Hatch Outreach Audit. And maybe we can, just have this little discussion maybe at the end of the call. That'd be super fun. And as far as distractions, no distractions. Back to you, Edu.
Thank you. I will add that to the agenda, so we can discuss it. Perfect. My intention for this call is to have a small process of consensus regarding certain things that has came around, and just comment on many things. And then distractions, none. I'm quite a little bit hyperactive today for no reason. So I'm like, yeah, a little bit accelerated. I would like to leave it to be present in this call. I will just text her briefly.
Why don't we start with the Hatch Outreach on the agenda, and then Olivia will be able to join us for the second part. So maybe I'll share my screen. So a few things I've been thinking. We've had a pretty exceptional pace in terms of like Hatch Outreach, and what's our final? I'm just gonna bring up our count to see where we are. There's a few things actually that I've been thinking. 92 people. Wow. Okay, so 92 individual sessions, and I'm finding that it's super productive, and we should continue extremely strategically to continue to do one-on-one sessions. But I'm thinking that what we have in the TEC Curate is actually quite good for what we have. We'll continue to do Hatch Outreach to some of the people in there, like the targeted people in there, and also focus some energy on things, or focus some of the effort on more pieces that can be mass consumed. So information that can be consumed by wider audiences as well. I just got off that transdisciplinary art of token engineering bonfire chat with Shebnam and Sherman and Trend and oh God, what's his name? Walis. And in there, I was thinking, I wrote down all the names of the people I didn't know. And I was like, these are exactly the people that we want to outreach to as well. So I'm thinking we're really going to slow the pace down now on the one-to-one individual outreaches, but make them more strategic and sort of count more. So that was my thinking. I'd like to know, just like to hear some feedback, because I think I'm pretty much, other than Eduardo, who I spoke with this morning, sharing this new thinking that I've had over the past few days I haven't really shared with anyone else yet. So Livia, I don't know if you heard what I just said, because you joined maybe as I was in the middle. But I was just sort of saying in terms from like the Hatcher outreach, I'd like us to, or at least myself, to sort of slow down the pace on the one-on-ones and just very strategically set up the meetings that we really have to have, and then focus some of the effort on pieces to communicate to a wider audience. the one pager, the infographic, these kinds of things. So the countdown to Hatch, the things that are, I think, can be consumed by a lot of people and can benefit more than these one-on-ones. And even the people that we've done Hatcher Outreach already with could benefit from these. So get feedback. Maybe we pass it around. Eduardo, you go ahead first then.
Sorry. Just the feedback from this week outreach that I made. I reached to a similar conclusion to Tam by different way, but it was basically I had outreach to 4 or 5 people, and 3 of these 5 people basically were just looking to invest. And so the call was like, I feel like we at the time invested in this call could have been probably taken in a better space or a better spot, or for another person who probably it's more aligned value wise. So I do feel like we could start taking care a little bit more of, or focusing more rather in the people we're gonna onboard as a hatcher down this small time between the hatch. So that's my piece.
Pastor Olivia.
Yeah, I think that sounds like it makes a lot of sense to go for bigger groups and then to have the one-on-ones to people that it's that we really want in. And I pass to Septimus.
Thanks, Levi. Yeah, I don't have that much to add, but I just have one concern in here. Like, it depends, like, if we bring people only to invest, like, the idea is, like, they have governing power, so we should be, like, very careful with when we are doing, like, for larger groups. But other than that, yeah, I'll pass it to Griff.
I think he said my name. I think we're oversubscribed. We don't need. We should target important token engineers, and we did it. So like when when we get further, there'll be lots of people begging for our time. And and these next ones, like if there's a really cool token engineer who's going to drive the token engineering commons forward, then that's who we want. Otherwise, the rest are diluting our hatch, and they can come in after the hatch. Is that everyone?
Juan's missing.
I was thinking also on what would be the best moment to onboard like small fishes, because there would be people that would be interested to participate, maybe like from the community of Ethereum Colombia, but I think that that can be done for sure after the hatch.
Hello, Nate.
Hello. How are you?
Good. We are just talking about the process of focusing on hatchers, and rather than trying to onboard everyone, we have sort of achieved that part, and we should be focusing a little bit more. So everyone is giving their feedback regarding this part, basically. So
sounds good. Thank you.
Cool. And Juan Carlos, to respond to you, I think that there's still plenty of time, and in terms of like reaching out to a community, I think that having some support materials to reach out to many people, like the deck, and I'll share an updated version of it in a minute, is something that will really help in terms of like having information that we could share to large groups, right? Like standalone information, really, that doesn't need to be explained by myself or Livia or Griff or Eduardo or Juan Carlos or yourself. So I think that's where I'd like to shift some of my focus. I've been doing so many of these one-on-ones, and I feel like, okay, I know what all the questions is. I know what all the information is. This could be, I've started this one-pager idea where it's like we can just share this one-pager instead of, for a lot of these. I think that there's some worth in or a lot of value still in building relationships And really it's also specifically for like the strategic relationships for the TEC. And not excluding anyone, but also spending the time and effort in a directed place towards the goal and not diffusing that energy for the people in our team. And I want to say one other thing. I just checked 92 hatchers and 390 in soft commits. So like Griff said, I think we've done really well. We've done really well there. I also, Eduardo had a nice idea around inviting all of the stewards to participate in Hatcher outreach sessions. So we've been doing this sort of, the second would be somebody from the Hatch team. And now I just think any steward who wants to come and join and see the conversation and see what the people we're reaching out to are curious about, what kind of questions they have, I think it'd be a good experience for all of the stewards. So in the next call, happening right after this, we'll invite anyone and maybe start posting the TEC curate list with the open slots so people can just put their names in or something like that. All right, so we've come up with some dates around, well, first let me do the deck first. So there's two things, just if you're using this deck, it's a little bit updated now to make it a little simpler. And then there's a new piece, and the new piece is like the phases and steps. So the configuration of the DAO has 4 steps, who does what and how is very detailed. So when you're having a conversation with someone, it becomes much easier for them to know what they're supposed to do and also what other people in the community will be doing. And it's the same thing for the upgrade to the Commons DAO. I've been keeping the updated version here, actually in the mirror board, the TEC visual brainstorming. So if you want to go in and see that, my latest thinking is this TEC Live is actually its own thing. But as I'm playing with that theme, I'll leave the TEC Hatch deck like this, where it's the Commons upgrade is submit, vote, upgrade, TEC is live.
Can we not call it the Commons DAO and just call it a Commons? We've been trying to call these Commons, and they're like they're a type of DAO. It's true, but.
All right, so something like upgrade to Commons. Okay, thanks for that point.
Just to be the devil's lawyers here, don't you think that for, like, this is an open question, for the ecosystem, those people will understand, it's not easier to understand a commons DAO than just a commons? Because then the progress is more natural for them to understand that we pass from a normal DAO to a commons DAO, and then they immediately get it rather than just mentioning it's a commons.
It's a long-term strategy. We don't want to be associated with just DAOs. We want to have a foothold. We want to say this is what a commons is. And we want to build a commons. Oh, a commons? Yeah, it's not just a bunch of smart contracts. It's like, it's this.
Okay.
This is.
Yeah. Okay, and we have some new dates, right? So we have some soft dates, internal only, not being published externally yet, but key dates around what's happening between now and the hatch. The most important pieces actually, and as we look at this, like the information people do need to know, there's 2 rounds of votes and there's the hatch. And that's all happening in the next, basically 4 weeks, 5 weeks. So I'll be keeping this updated, like where we are. And these are pretty conservative dates, aggressive conservative, I would say. So like balance between being a little aggressive and conservative. The first round of submission and voting for the params is taking place until the 11th of May. Pretty like high probability that this is a good date. And then the same thing with the final vote. Griff, maybe you have maybe this isn't the place for the update. Maybe the stewards call is a better place for the update. But I know we were hoping to start have the dashboard ready for this to kick off today.
I'm really excited about Sem and I have been hacking on like how do we do this the 2 sliders, and I think we're going to replace it with a point. So it's like you pick your target goal, and then you just pick the impact hour rate at that target goal. And then you have the max impact hours, and you can just start adjusting the max impact hours and pick a point on the curve. And then when you adjust the max impact hours, that changes the curvature. So I think we need to implement that, but doesn't take a long time to do that. So I think it's going to work out.
Okay. All right. So, but not by the end of this week, maybe.
Yeah, for sure by Sunday. I mean, right now you can submit, right? We have that data. Like you can still submit using this old front end, but it's not, and we can basically reuse that because it's the same thing, but.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So the submissions that start today are going to be in this final first round of voting. Okay, perfect. And then we'll still improve the UI based on the user acceptance testing feedback. For some reason,
The submissions that happen today will, the outputs should be the same. So it shouldn't be too hard to just change the one parameter for everybody just in the GitHub issue. You know, we can just overwrite what was there and change it, and the outputs would all be the same. So.
okay, and I don't think there's that many for us to have to change anyway again, so probably not an issue. All right, excellent. And that covers everything I wanted to talk about in here. Livia, do you mind giving an update since you used the new deck, I think, yesterday? Did you use the new deck yesterday? And can you give me feedback on how it went using the phase and steps? Because I haven't used it yet.
Yeah, actually, I had a call with Natalia to go over other things, and then also gave a little onboarding, but without using the deck, because that was the call I had before. And then when you send it, I send it to her, and she didn't seem to have any questions above everything we had chat before. And she's applying to the trusted seed. She applied to the trusted seed yesterday. I think that question came after the deck. So it was like, oh, so first step is applying to a trusted seed. So I think that was clear. But yeah, not so much. I didn't go over it all.
Okay, cool, fantastic. Yeah, I'm gonna try it out and see if it improves the experience or not. Cool. All right, should I pass to you, Eduardo, for a project?
Sure. We have had this conversation since last week with Ham and Livy regarding proposals, and I tried to make a step back and just answer the question of why are we doing this in the way we are doing it, in the sense of why are we proposing pre-hatch? And yes, we have had certain answers before from that question, like visibility, connection, networking, community building, and so on. But then basically the scenario that we face now is that we have 9 proposals on the forum that has received very little attention. So it comes around the question of, do we keep outreaching proposals, or do we focus on engaging the ones that are already present on the forum? So the idea that I will take for the last minutes of the call, these last 30 minutes of the call, is to basically find consensus on this process, whether I came out with certain options. One option is to sort of give advice process focus on giving advice process to the one that are existing on the forum. Secondly, to focus on proposals that we think we need to have in the TEC proposing. For example, T Academy, Angela, or any project related to that. Like, let's focus on that rather than outreach, Gitcoin grants, or any other one. And third, it's to outreach into people and keep doing what we are doing so far, but not mandatory, not necessarily expecting them to propose. It's more of a kind of, you have the right word for it. TAM, and I forgot the word, which is basically like connecting, networking with proposals and letting them know that we exist and letting them know that happens, but not necessarily implying that they need to propose to be on the TEC. So I want to hear feedback about this. I have done 6 outreach proposals so far. All of them, they all needed to go through the Hatcher process, and they all needed to 5 of those 6 wanted to be Hatchers, and I had to go back and then do the full information about the Hatch and so on, and then also with the Libby conversation, there was a final thing that is like, let's go back to Hatchers. Let's think the Hatcher as a storytelling wise, as a concept. Everything comes from the Hatcher. So we all should pass people through that process first, and then we can give them the option whether to be a contributor, a proposal, or a Hatcher, just a Hatcher, or the 3 of them. So yeah, this is a little bit of a rant. I'm sorry, but I want to hear the feedback from this. Griff?
Yeah, that sounds really good, actually. I was just as you were speaking, I was like, well, maybe we should just make this a lower barrier to entry, and like have it be, instead of making a proposal, just like signaling that you will propose post hatch, and making it just like you're gonna, a general, like a 1 paragraph like intention. It's like, I want to propose to TEC, and this is what I would propose and why it's important for token engineers, and just like get rid of a lot of the extra stuff. And then it's just like, yeah, we just want to collect groups before we hatch, so that right once this thing is all ready, we can go. And you're signaling support. It helps us, which will help you in the future. Just make it more reasonable. I'll pass it to Olivia.
Yeah, so we had this conversation this week. I think I don't think it makes sense to reach out to new proposals anymore. I think the reasoning why we started doing was to get this gauge of how much we would need as a minimum goal, and also to have the attention and to be able to show hatchers like, oh, this is the projects we already have. But I feel like this can harm more than like give credibility, because of the confusion there is right now with like, oh, but I'm submitting a proposal, but it's not even launched. Like, when is it? When is the money would come? When is the money gonna come in? People having plans, and also I think being respectful with people's expectations and how much they actually might need the funds, and that our time frame is a little bit confusing. So to not put too much pressure in that, and I feel like we can, since we have all of these proposals now, to screen them. And I was suggesting we like maybe find a few people that are interested in doing that, and screening all the proposals and seeing if you have a natural engagement that comes up. Like, do you want to actually comment something on that proposal? And then doing so, but having like maybe 5 people that will commit with reading all of the proposals that are there, and then start mapping these proposals according to those 3 buckets that we came up with already, that are research and tool, education, and T narrative. So we would understand, like, from what we have, what is in what place. And I think this is kind of cool to communicate to hatchers when we are onboarding. Like, oh, we have like a few proposals already signaled to go to this direction or to that direction. And then something I thought it was important from talking to Natalia was like, oh, maybe we should just be asking all of the hatchers we onboard that do have TE projects how much they would need to fund their projects. And I think that would give us the best gauge of like what we need financially. And for example, the TE Academy said they need 500,000 for a year of funding, of like complete funding for everything they do. And yeah.
You
Oh, and
pass
then
it.
last point was that I think the proposals, the idea of a proposals working group would actually be like the most important working group post Hatch, and it would be the meeting point, like the place people can build partnerships and like make connections, and having someone like we were talking about Jess, for example, someone that it's like super integrated in the ecosystem already, that could be like, oh, maybe this proposal has something to do with that proposal, and have this like workshops and connections happen. Sorry, I spoke a lot. I'll pass to Juan.
Thanks, Livy. I agree with that last idea that you shared, and I think it would be good if we can make like a proposal bootcamp where like all the proposals can like know between each other, and like if they can help or collaborate between each other, and also to like orientate on the next steps and those things. So maybe we can say like, okay, please like propose the last proposals until the first bootcamp, and then we can have like another bootcamp for another like hatch of proposals, but to polish these ones better, like make them go through the advice process and like engage the community. I don't know, that would be like my idea, my take. And Septimus, did you go?
No, thank you, Juan. Yeah, I don't have much to add since I don't fully understand how the parameters of the proposals work. Like I don't know if like when I was playing with the common simulator, I don't know like if we need like more than 50, we need less. I really don't understand. But if we need more, I like what Griff said about like just making it easy for them and just to have some feedback from the future. So yeah, I think that's great and it shouldn't harm anyone. I'll pass it to Nate.
And we're talking about the projects themselves here, the ones that are proposing for funding, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so I was thinking about this because I had talked to Paul from Molecule and for the TEC Spotlight thing, and so I hope he can do it tomorrow. But he is working on something that I think could be very useful to the TEC in terms of kind of setting out this framework for partially funding projects where they achieve certain milestones within their their proposal. And so basically, instead of funding everything at once, you fund you've achieved this, you get the funding. You achieve this, you get the funding. And they use a marketplace bonding curve type of situation. I don't know if that could be a technical solution that we could look into for later on, but just kind of brainstorming that in terms of setting out expectations and stuff. I think that's probably the most important aspect of it outside of that. So I'll pass it on.
All
That's
right.
everybody.
Thank you, Nate. Does anyone have
Almost
something?
everybody. Almost everybody.
Oh, sorry, Tam.
It's okay. But I really like the idea of taking some of the pressure off the people that were asking to submit, because it is there's some time between the submission of their proposals, which do take a lot of work and thought to put into. I think we were maybe counting on a lot of this already being ready, like reusing proposals for the Gitcoin rounds or reusing the proposals, but it didn't seem to pan out that worked that way actually. So I think it makes a lot of sense to continue to build relationships with people that we've identified that will be good candidates for proposals in the future, and make it less about their submitting a proposal and more about, sort of outreach, like TEC outreach, like education outreach, and helping people learn about the TEC more than just submitting their proposals. All right, I'll pass back to you, Eduardo.
Thank you. Griff, are you want to say something? No? Okay. So how do we, Livy, can you help me with this? How do we then sort of make a consensus on this regarding the process of, okay, so we now have these ideas, which is basically summarizing a little bit, focus is one of the things I came up, like I heard from everyone, and then not binding the outreach to submit a proposal, basically. So shall we then sort of accept that as a new role? And secondly, shall we then focus a certain specific group of people or projects that we know or that are not have been outreach proposal wise, or do we leave it at like as it comes?
I think leave it as it comes. Although, like, maybe to start, there are some like the TE Academy, and you know, did Shebnem propose already for the book? I mean, those are like the two.
I don't think she did.
I mean, those are the two, like, in the community. Everyone knows about the Hitchhiker's Guide and the TE Academy. If we have those two, then everything else is pretty easy.
Okay. Yes, Livy? Sorry.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we can, but I think we can work with them with more calm, you know? Like, I feel like the ecosystem understood that they are like with us and that they will propose to us. And we had a call with Angela this week on like just a line. It was, I know what you thought, Griff, but I felt like it was mostly like a confirmation that we are on the same side and that we are like propelling the same narratives. And yeah, I think the proposal with them can be like something simple, like you said.
The main thing I wanted to get out of that call with Angela and Natasha about the TE Academy is just like, listen, like, here's where we're at and you should do you know? And I think it's important for the proposal team to remember that some groups are looking for funding, some groups aren't. TE Academy is actually looking for funding. I was like, asking us, should we divert our funders to your hatch? And it's like, no, you should not. You should tell them about it, but take all the money you can. Our goal is to fund TE public goods, and we're not doing that right now. And we're not planning on doing it until July, probably, maybe even August. Like, watch out, you know, like, take care of yourself. Like, you know, we are always, number one, we are trying to advance token engineering and support the token engineering community. We have to be very careful never to extract value from the token engineering community, only add value. Yeah.
Agree on that. Okay. So that's does everyone agrees with this process of for the proposals outreach kind of change of direction? Does anyone has any cons or any pros or anything to add to this? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alrighty. Then the second part, it's about the engage of the ones that have already proposed. What do we do with them? This is an open question. Besides engage, yes, we can. It's not about, like Livy mentioned in our call, it's not about commenting just, hey, nice proposal. It's about actually seeing how we can see if they, it's not that they need a correction, but see if everything is clear, if it's a community, how we can probably do what Livy said about, or Juanca said about the camp kind of thing, where we can start from with this testing, engaging them with people from our community that we know, and so on, and see how they start working out this process of a small working group of proposals, how it works now before we get so busy or we get like into the hatch. It could be nice to see how we can sort of create this with the ones that have already proposed. The first step I would recommend to do is what Livy mentioned, to categorize them in between the 3 categories that we have. And then from that point on, see who align with this kind of categorizations and see how we can do certain matches. But I'm open to any suggestion to any other way to engage. I will pass it on to Griff.
Yeah, I think we want to make sure that we like prize these people who are willing to engage with us and tell us that they want us to support their project. This should be a source of pride for us, and we want to engage with them and support them in whatever ways we can. I would love for tweets. I feel like tweeting this group wants to propose to the TEC. This group will propose to the TEC. This group is super cool. Look at what they're doing. We have the spotlight space, we have this thing, and it's really just like, oh, wow, you're a hero. Yeah, engaging with them on the forum is cool, but that doesn't give them value. It only gives us value. So we gotta we have a platform, and we can if they propose to us, we can make a win-win. We merge our branding, we increase our network effect and their network, right? So that's where things get magical. Are we passing it around? Wonka.
Yeah, I agree, and yeah, maybe we can contact and the communications working group and make an issue about this, about promoting proposals in our medias. I think it's a great idea, and I will pass to Nate.
Yeah, thank you, Juan. I do think that the proposals that we do have, they have been kind of left in the medium, if you will, for a while now. I do think that we can. I know we're packed with meetings and stuff like that, but I think a kind of a weekly AMA or like a periodic AMA for potential proposal projects would be really beneficial to everybody involved. There's just to see that we're setting standards on an equal footing for all projects, and kind of being transparent about the process and like what we're looking for and how we're doing things, and have an open space for people to ask questions, to really engage with the TEC in a more organic way, and kind of slowly build relationships in that manner. But even having a committee that engages with them periodically, I think that but just having something that's set and scheduled where they can just, anytime that they're available, they can come to us and talk about issues that they see within the proposal process or whatever it may be. So that's just my thoughts on it. So I'll pass it to Tam.
Can you just repeat the exact question again? I heard the answers, but I missed the question.
Yes, alternatives to engage with the proposals that has been proposed already, and what do we do with them?
I mean, I really liked just Livia's proposal of having, just a group of people, 5 people, 3 people even, 2 people even, just sort of taking on the responsibility to really read through them and understand them and start to categorize them and engage. I think we can make a request, a call to action on our community call tomorrow to ask people to have a look at our forum, but I don't know that that's probably going to get us any results. Yeah, I have a feeling the best way for us to engage with the people to engage with the projects in the forum is for us just to start doing it more often. And I'll pass back to you, Eduardo, to pass it on.
Yes, Livy, would you want to add something?
Yeah, I like Nate's idea to go on top of having kind of a group focused on it, to have space for questions. That's always what I miss in the spotlight. I think, I don't know, maybe we could even have multiple spotlights for one project if they are willing to, or start creating AMAs, and also what Griff said, to give them value and put them out there and using the platforms we have. I think this all sounds like things that this working group could do, and that we could start with an informal group of people.
Can I just add to that? I actually really like the idea, because when we do spotlights in the community calls, I think that there could be another half hour for a discussion and for people to share their feedback. And maybe it's something that is, and this is not for tomorrow, but for the future, maybe it's something that we can have the spotlight followed by a Q&A, so that the people who need to leave can leave at the hour, but people that are interested in participating in a Q&A, or scheduled a Q&A with this project for another time, so that we can give these projects the exposure that that's valuable for them.
I think that's a very good idea. If we sort of make it a full rounded circle, in the sense of, for example, let's talk about the Paula's proposals about education, and then during that week we feature, we talk more about their project because it's a proposal in the forum, and then by the end of the week, let's say Friday, we have a longer AMA call, not even AMA, a conversation with this project, open to everyone in the community, so they can just join. And since they have been following our social media, they have been seeing that we talk about it, and then they can come around and then ask, and probably even network or follow it up after the. So for me, it's like, first step, you have a spotlight on Thursdays, then we talk about that proposal or that spotlight during that week, and then we finish it up with a conversation Fridays or the next week. I don't know, but like it will be a full rounded kind of visibilization that it goes beyond just tweeting about how cool they proposed. It's more about, we actually are focusing our communication to build up this community sense for and the appropriate kind of visibility for every proposal that has been submitted to the forum, and that probably will motivate people that haven't submitted to just do it by themselves, just because they have seen this kind of process. I don't know, just throwing it out there.
I was also going to say that even offering projects a space on our Medium page to actually say, get people excited about what they're doing from like an infrastructure point of view, saying, we're building these things, these tools, and get people excited about it, and have them kind of linked with the TEC Medium, and have them, kind of craft their own narrative around their project and have us promote it.
Yes, Septimus, go ahead.
We could also edit the video and take the community call and take only the part of the spotlight, and then when, as Rick was saying, tweeting about it, just add this video, so there is more engagement.
All right. Does everyone agrees on trying this out with Paula? Is the one that has been more active on asking and following up, and then for not this spotlight, but for the next one, Nate, to sort of have this process tested and see if we can run with that, and see if it works. We may have a separate session from this today, Nate, to talk about it, but I want to
talk about the Q&A after.
Yeah, the conversation kind of space. So I want to know if everyone finds that as a good idea, and then we can sort of throw it through.
Well, as Gravity's call is after community call, like it would, if we do that, Gravity would need a change of a schedule, but like if everyone agrees that it's a good thing to do it right after, I have no problem. But if not, it would be great also if we can have like another schedule. But yeah, it's just like an hour, and I don't have any big concern about it.
Yeah, I would second what you said, Juan Carlos. I think the half hour after the community call isn't I think I suggested it, but it's not the right place. And after that, I think Eduardo started expanding the scope a little to make it a week of highlighting this project. And then, so after the community call would end as normally, and Gravity would happen as normal. And then starting that Friday, there would be more of a showcasing this, and, talking, like making, sharing their project on Twitter, or maybe posting something on media, like just more highlighting of the project for a week. And then later the next week having a special AMA for that project, which I think that sounds nice.
Libby, any feedback on this?
It just brings up a question of the legitimacy of the project. That's why I think it would be very important to have this process first, to really look into them and like, yeah, because or to take a very agnostic stance on promoting the projects, not as much as like the TEC recommends this project, or I don't know how to kind of do that. Also, not to influence any votes in the future when the votes are running, like how to not like show preference to any project or like coming from the TEC brand kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that before we moved into this direction where we have these processes for these projects to showcase their stuff, that we need to be very, very sure that it's something that we would be willing to fund, and that it's met all the requirements that are set out within the proposal process. Because we don't want to get on board with a project that ends up being garbage, and then we've already promoted it like 15 times. And
I have a question. Sorry. I have a question. Have we revised the requirements to propose? Like, have we, because I have seen the same documentation since December or so. Like, have we checked if we now, after all this time, need or have improved or added or changed any of the requirements for proposing? Just open question.
I don't think it's about requirements for proposing. I think it's more of like where do we want to, how do we want to position ourselves as people that are involved in the cultural build of the TC, or after, like people that are in foundational positions of the TC, to have more of a distance between projects and even though promote them. I think the proposals are simple, like the requirements should be simple. But also the legal working group is working on the terms for the proposals.
That's an interesting framework. All right. Does anyone has something else to contribute to this idea or to any cons and pros? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. I think the first step then will be reading the entire proposals. I will at least be the ones of the two who will do that. Anyone who is in this call, it's open to join on this. But the idea will be for the next call on Wednesday to have this filter out, analyzed, and see if we are willing to move forward with promoting them, or how we're going to engage. Maybe we'll only be engaging and not promoting them. But I think we do need this step back to filter them out and understand what we have in the forum to the full scope of it, and then make a decision based on information, not just on we need to engage. Does anyone agrees with this, or someone propose something different? Can everyone say yes for the sake of voting?
Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
Just to recap, between this week and next week, who's going to do which steps exactly? What are the steps?
It should be 2 people, so we can contrast, reading through the proposals, analyzing them, and bringing them, just filter them out and see if there is anything there. Just to analyze them basically and have a result, if may say so, on next call. So I would like having someone else to do it too, so we can sort of contrast and come up with a more objective opinion, and rather than just a singular opinion about it. But I don't know.
I think you can book a call and like people interested can join. I don't know. I think it can be like here in the Discord.
Sure, we can do a small hack session and then invite people to it.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. It is. Alrighty. Does anyone have something else to contribute regarding proposals? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alrighty. So shall we do the forum and what Septimus mentioned? Septimus?
Sorry, was adding the time code. Yeah, the idea is like we were having on the Hatches Outreach audit forum process, like there was some engagement on the forum, like talking about like maybe this working group is going to be dissolved like after Hatch, so maybe the financial statement should be deleted, or yeah, I just, since we were discussing about it in there, I would love to hear like what would be the consensus and what we do with this audit, and yeah, how do we proceed with that?
We had this conversation also with Libby regarding the and also with Ham regarding this process, and I think there was this. I had this perspective of this group will sort of become a, how do you say this, a taking care relationship community of the people who we have outreach in a way. So it's not about outreaching people, it's about taking care of the outreached people that we did. So that was why, like, taking out the name Hatcher and change outreach to past tense and outreached. But yeah, so basically that was my perspective about it. Mainly because a lot of people who have seen the entire process of how this working group has changed and then manifesto and so on, I think it's sort of coherent that the working group sort of evolves also to within the Hatch and also sort of evolve the mission since what is needed intentionally has changed. But yeah, that's my point of view. I will pass it on to Tam.
Sure. So yeah, it's a good point that we're thinking about it now, actually, because I think the evolution of this group, certainly the Hatcher outreach part, is less Hatcher outreach, and it becomes more relations, like TEC holder relations. Who holds TECs? What's the information they need to know? When is the voting periods? So I think it becomes more of like a relationship role. And then for project outreach, I think we talked a little bit about it earlier, that it's sort of, those toys where you have something, you put all the sticks in, and so sorry, I'm just lacking. I'm a little tired today, I guess. But it's sort of like the center part where everything else is connected. I think projects is sort of like that, like the group that can connect different projects, that can connect people to projects, that can support projects submitting, but it's probably not going to be that much more support, and also more of like relationships with projects in the community. And so I think that I don't know that we have it exact right now what will happen. I think we'll see how it sort of shapes up and determine our needs as they emerge. And I'll pass to Nate.
I agree. I don't have much to add after that. I think that my mindset is really thinking about like what everything's going to look like after the Hatch and after the Commons upgrade is happening, and it's gonna, our working groups are gonna need to shift, and the people that are working in those working groups are gonna need to adapt to new roles. And so I think that kind of having this general partnerships type of working group, it was really important, and maybe even a separate pursuit than the actual Hatch outreach. But that, that's a discussion that will come later. But I do think that we need to start thinking about these things and moving forward and kind of envisioning what happens after the Commons upgrade. I'll pass to Livy.
Livy, are you there? Just to comment briefly, the comment made by Septimus, it's not only about the brainstorm, about the future of the working group, it's also about the audit specifically and what we do with the funds part. We need, like, this is the main conversation right now. It's nice to brainstorm about the rest, but like will be nice to solve this part of the audit. Juanca, any feedback on this?
Yeah, that I think that this group, like, it can change after the hatch, but it's for sure important to keep it up because, like, it's great always to be talking and to have like a point to reach out when we're talking about proposals or when we are talking about hatchers or in that moment that would be like people who has participated in the project. So yeah, I think it's good to like keep it up and to see how can we sustain this group after the hatch. I don't know who hasn't gone.
Griff?
Yeah, not much to add. I agree with the framing of like this group evolving, but we want to live in the present for sure, prepare for the future and live in the present. So I also think that we got to focus most of our time on optimizing the current situation and maybe 25% of our thoughts and effort on like preparing for post hatch and where we're going. We have to live in both worlds. Is that everyone?
Livy, anything to close before we finish?
I thought Zap had proposed a good solution for that financial part specific to just separate in the spreadsheet so the count so the zeros there wouldn't influence the score of the working group audit. I think that's perfect and I agree with everything else that was said.
So let's vote. Do everyone agree on taking out that part of the audit? Everyone say yes or no?
I'm not sure this is the right group to vote on that.
That's true.
Yeah, I don't think it needs to take out. I think it's perfect as it is already. Like I don't know. Septimus, did you? I think you would have the better decision here.
Yeah. It's Zep's call.
I think we should discuss it also this on transparency. But my main worry is like, for example, like for example, let's say Edu is having one opinion. I mean, we're almost on the top of the hour, so maybe I'll save it. It's maybe a transparency call, but I mean, I'll say it on transparency, I guess.
Yeah, it's stewards to party.
All right. Thanks everyone, and see you in now.